If you've ever tried to grow your Instagram account, whether it's for business or personal reasons, you know the process can be painfully slow. So naturally, everyone's looking for shortcuts, including me. And I do know my way around Facebook and Instagram ads pretty well. So I got to thinking, could I just run ads on Instagram that would help me grow my follower count? And if it works, how much would it cost me to get each new follower? And ultimately, is it all worth it? So I did it as a little experiment just to see how well it works. And I do have some very interesting results to share with you in terms of what didn't work and what did. But before we get to the results, let's go back a bit and talk about why I thought this might be a good idea worth trying and why you might want to pay to grow on Instagram. And the first reason is it's not really what you think of when you traditionally think of buying followers, right? You're not just paying some sketchy company to assign you a set number of followers who are either bots or, if they are real people, they have no real interest in your account or your business. This isn't that. This is simply paying to be put in front of more of your ideal followers or customers, and then they choose whether to follow you or not. So it's all above board, and what I would think would just be a shortcut to be seen by more people. And there really are two major reasons or upsides that I can see as to why I'd want to pay to get more followers. And they can be summed up with two numbers, 3,000 and 10,000. So there's a guy, Ben Levitt, who I follow about a lot of things on Instagram growth, and I tend to trust what he says about it. And I heard him recently say that when you get to about 3,000 followers, Instagram starts to take your account more seriously, and basically you get more love from the algorithm. Whether this is true or not, I really don't know for sure, but again, I tend to trust what this guy says. And then 10,000 is the number of followers you need to be able to post an Instagram story with the swipe up link feature, which is actually super useful because normally linking to outside content like your website is pretty clunky within Instagram. So I'd love to be able to use that to get people to my podcast or to an offer on my website. So reaching those two different numbers was my why for wanting to do this. And before running this little experiment, I did my research, mostly here on YouTube, and I found out a few key pieces of advice that kept showing up over and over again that helped guide me here. So first, almost everyone talking about this said that the best type of ad to run to get followers on Instagram is a story ad with a traffic objective. So what would happen is they would just swipe up on the story ad and they'd go right to my Instagram profile where they could see what I have to offer on my feed, and then from there, they choose to follow me or not. The other piece of advice I was told is that I should expect to get new followers within the US for about 25 cents each, and followers from more third world countries for about 5 cents each. And to me, that sounded very reasonable to be able to add, 1,000 real subscribers within the US, Canada, and the UK that might eventually convert into paying students of my program. So, did that happen for me? Well, we're gonna get to it in just a minute, but first I do wanna show you the ads that I tested and the different audiences that I tested as well. So for the first ad, I did follow the advice I got from everyone and did a video story ad where I just talked direct to camera, telling them why they'd want to follow me, along with a verbal call to action of swiping up. I also added some animated captions to make sure everybody was getting what I was saying. Also just for some visual interest there. And the next ad was a little different, and it was all about one of my podcast episodes, so I was sure to choose my all-time most popular episode to give this the best shot. So my thinking here was that if people like the topic, a certain percentage of them would click through to my profile to see more, and some of them might follow me. So very organic. And then finally, I did run across one YouTube video where the guy said he thinks the best way to run an Instagram follower ad campaign is to actually not do it through the ads manager and instead promote one of your best performing posts inside of Instagram using the little promote button. Now, I was really surprised he said that because boosting or promoting posts is pretty widely considered a huge no-no in the marketing world, but his reasoning was that doing it that way was the closest you could get to a, give me more followers ad objective, which doesn't really exist otherwise. Now let's talk about the audiences that I tested. So almost everyone recommends creating a lookalike audience of everyone who engages with your Instagram account. That means Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, by the way, they lump together every single account that follows you, anyone who likes one of your posts, comments, shares, clicks through to your profile, just about any action that they take with your account. They take all of those people, they figure out through their algorithm what all those people have in common. Then they go out and find you millions more people who seem the closest to those people. That's a lookalike audience in a nutshell, and that was my first audience. But there's a problem with that, at least for me, maybe for you too. The thing is, my Instagram account started as my personal account. So I would estimate about a third of my followers are not small business owners. They're not people who followed me for the content I put out. They're my friends, family, or at least people who followed me for, another reason back in the day. So that taints the pool for sure. So I decided because of that to try two other audiences. First, a lookalike audience of my website traffic, which is probably more likely to follow me based on my content, but they're not necessarily heavy Instagram users. So that's the problem with those guys. And the next audience I tested is an interest target of people who like Gary Vaynerchuk. So in case you're keeping score, we've got 3 ads, 3 audiences. So let's take a look at what didn't work and the one thing that did. So when I did run these tests, I focused on my big 4 countries, the US, UK, Australia, Canada. So these are the countries that tend to convert best for me in my paid offers. So naturally, I'd want more of them following me on Instagram. And all of those tests were pretty much a bust, right? I did get some click-throughs to my profile, but when I opened up my Instagram analytics, I didn't have any significant increases to my follower counts. And even if I would have, I was paying well over $1 per link click, which is way more than I'd been led to believe in those other YouTube videos, which were all saying I could expect to pay somewhere around 25 cents. And in case you wanted to know, my website traffic lookalike audience did cost me about half of what the Instagram engagement lookalike cost me. So it was pretty much like 120 versus 220 per link click there. And remember that post that I just promoted within Instagram? That cost per click was definitely less because it did actually let me optimize for profile visits, which is a targeting option that does not exist inside Ads Manager. However, the analytics there told me that all those profile visits, I had 18 of them total, resulted in 0 followers. And if this all sounds like bad news, I do want to share with you one thing that did work. So after running these initial tests, I decided to open up my targeting to worldwide just to see if that would result in more followers for less money. So I ran that same story ad, the one where I was talking directly to camera, telling people why they should follow me, and that actually worked pretty well depending on how you look at it. So here's what happened. So I ran this ad for 2 days, in which time I got 36 link clicks, and judging from this spike of 20 people on day 1 and 18 on day 2, it looks like I got anywhere from between 30 to 36 new followers as a direct result of this ad at a cost of about 15 cents each. Now, these followers are not from the countries that I know perform best for me in my business, so it's hard to know how worth it really this was at the end of the day. So what I'd say for you is, do you see a value in increasing your follower count just for the sake of followers? And there is a case to be made for that. Things like increased engagement from people who are actually interested in your topic, for one. And having more followers does open up some doors, like having Instagram potentially take your account more seriously, and then that swipe up link in stories can be pretty huge. Not to mention the social proof that lots of followers can buy you. So never underestimate the popularity principle when it comes to more people deciding if they want to follow you or not. So you could realistically spend about $5 per day and expect to get about 30 to 40 followers for that money every day. But if you do this, you need to make sure that your bio is optimized to let people know exactly what kind of content they can expect from you, and You need to be posting good, helpful, inspirational, or actionable content consistently. But for me, I think I'm gonna keep growing in a more organic way. So for my business, that smaller pool of more engaged people who are just more likely to listen to my podcasts and ultimately take me up on my paid offers is more valuable than that wider group that will probably never move past consuming my free content on the platform. So if you want to grow your Instagram account, I'm going to show you some easy proven tactics that won't eat up your whole day. In fact, you can do most of these in just about 5 minutes each. So to get my 5-minute Instagram growth hacks, just click this video right here and I'll show you everything you need to know.